Once upon a time, in a small town surrounded by hills, lived a young boy named Arjun. He was full of dreams, energy, and hope. His biggest dream was to become a long-distance runner, the best in the country. Every morning he would wake up before sunrise, tie his shoes, and run through the misty fields, imagining the crowd cheering for him one day. In the beginning, everything felt magical. His legs were strong, his spirit was high, and his motivation burned like fire. Every run felt like progress. Every sweat drop felt like victory. But as the weeks passed, things began to change. The mornings grew colder, the paths muddier, and Arjun's body started aching. One day, he woke up and thought, "Why am I doing this? No one even knows I'm training. What if I fail?" He skipped his practice that day, and then the next. Soon days turned into weeks. His running shoes gathered dust in the corner. One evening, Arjun sat outside watching an old man walk past his house. The man was limping, but he carried a smile on his face. Arjun asked curiously, "Uncle, why do you walk every day even though you're hurt?" The old man smiled and said, "Son, I walk not because I feel strong every day, but because I don't want to forget who I am. If I wait for motivation, I'll do nothing. But if I stay consistent, I'll become unstoppable." Those words hit Arjun deeply. That night, he stared at his dusty shoes for a long time. Finally, he whispered, "I will not wait for motivation. I'll start again." The next morning, he got up, tired, sleepy, and unmotivated, but he still went for a run. It wasn't fast, it wasn't perfect, but it was a start, and the next day, he ran again and again. Some days he felt powerful, other days his legs felt like stone, but no matter what, he showed up. Months passed. Slowly, his consistency began to pay off. His stamina improved, his timing got better, and soon he was chosen to represent his school in the district marathon. When the big day arrived, Arjun looked at the long road ahead. The sun was blazing, and the crowd was roaring. As the whistle blew, he started running. Halfway through the race, exhaustion hit him. His body screamed for rest. He remembered all the mornings he had wanted to quit, but then, in his mind, he heard the old man's voice again. "Don't wait for motivation. Stay consistent." So he kept running, one step after another, slowly, steadily, painfully, until he crossed the finish line. He didn't come first. He came third. But when he looked at his medal, he realized something powerful. Success wasn't about winning that day. It was about not giving up on the days he didn't feel like trying. Moral of the story: motivation is temporary. It burns bright but fades quickly. Consistency, however, is the real power. You won't always feel excited, but if you stay focused and keep showing up day after day, success will have no choice but to follow you. So the next time you feel like giving up, remember Arjun's story. Tie your shoes, take that first step, and trust the process. Because the secret to greatness isn't in doing great things once, it's in doing small things consistently, even when no one is watching. It was 5:30 in the morning when Arav's alarm rang. The faint light of dawn was slipping through the curtains, but he didn't move. His body felt heavy, his mind foggy. The alarm kept buzzing, insistent, impatient, until he finally turned it off. For a few seconds, he lay there staring at the ceiling, asking himself the same question he had been asking for weeks. Why am I doing all this? 3 months ago, Arav had been full of fire. He'd started preparing for a competitive exam, swearing that this time he would give his absolute best. He made detailed schedules, watched motivational videos, wrote inspiring quotes on sticky notes, and told everyone that this year would be his breakthrough. In the beginning, everything went perfectly. He woke up early, studied for hours, worked out, and even managed to help his younger sister with her homework. But somewhere along the way, the spark began to fade. Now every day felt like a repetition of the last, long, quiet, and strangely meaningless. Motivation, which once felt like an ocean inside him, had dried up to a few drops. Part 2, the fall. That evening, Arav sat by the window with his books open but his eyes fixed outside. He could see kids playing cricket in the street, their laughter echoing in the air. For a moment, he envied them, carefree, happy, loud. His mother entered with a cup of tea. "You look tired, Beta," she said softly. "I'm fine," he lied, but she could see through him. "When you were a child," she began, "you used to love puzzles. Even when you couldn't solve them for hours, you never gave up. You used to say, 'Main Karlunga bas time lagega.' What happened to that boy?" Arav smiled weakly. "Maybe he grew up." She put her hand on his shoulder and said quietly, "Maybe he forgot why he started." Her words stayed with him long after she left. That night, Arav didn't study. He sat alone, scrolling through old photos, the day he got his first medal, his school farewell, a picture with his father when he got into college. Each photo whispered something he'd forgotten. He wasn't doing all this to impress anyone. He was doing it for himself. Part 3, the realization. The next morning, Arav didn't wake up at 5:30. He woke up at 6 morn. No guilt, no excuses. He simply decided that instead of chasing perfect routines, he would chase consistency. He made tea, sat at his desk and opened his notebook, but this time he didn't promise himself that he'd study for 12 hours. He just said, let's do 1 hour. Just one focused hour. That 1 hour changed everything. When the hour ended, he realized he could do another, then another, and by evening he'd completed more than he had in the past 3 days. He understood something profound that day. Motivation is a visitor, but discipline is a permanent resident. If you rely on motivation to work, you'll stop whenever it leaves. But if you build discipline, you'll keep moving even when you don't feel like it. Part 4, Building the Routine. Over the next few weeks, Arav created small rules for himself. Rule 1. Never miss 2 days in a row. Rule 2. Focus on effort, not outcomes. Rule 3. Rest is part of progress. He stopped comparing himself to others. Instead, he compared himself to his yesterday. If he studied 5 hours yesterday, 6 today would be a win. If he failed to complete a topic, understanding it better tomorrow would be a win. Some days were bad, really bad. There were mornings when his mind refused to cooperate, evenings when he questioned everything again. But unlike before, he didn't quit. He reminded himself of a simple truth. Consistency is not about being perfect. It's about showing up imperfectly but continuously. Part 5, The Plateau. After 2 months, something strange happened. Arav's progress slowed down. His scores stopped improving. Despite studying regularly, he felt stuck, like he was running on a treadmill. Frustration crept in again. What's the point if I'm not improving, he thought. But this time, instead of giving up, he sought answers. He spoke to his mentor, Mr. Sharma, an old teacher who had seen hundreds of students like him. Sharma sir smiled and said, Arav, you're in the plateau phase. It's where real growth hides. Everyone wants visible progress, higher marks, faster results. But the truth is, real improvement happens quietly beneath the surface. Keep going. You're closer than you think. Those words became Arav's anchor. He realized that success doesn't come in straight lines. It comes in curves, pauses, and invisible progress. The world celebrates breakthroughs, but breakthroughs are just the result of hundreds of invisible, ordinary days of consistency. Part 6, The Quiet Victory. 6 months later, it was exam day. Arav walked into the hall calmly, not overconfident, not scared, just steady. He didn't know if he would top or even pass with flying colors, but for the first time, he wasn't thinking about results. He was proud that he hadn't quit, that he had fought his mind every single day and kept showing up. When the results came, he didn't check them immediately. He just closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and smiled. He had learned the biggest lesson of his life. Motivation starts the journey, but discipline finishes it. Later, when he finally saw his score, better than he had ever imagined, he didn't shout or cry. He simply whispered to himself, it was never about motivation. It was about showing up. Part 7, Reflection. Months later, Arav began mentoring juniors who were preparing for the same exam. One of them asked, Bahaya, how did you stay focused all the time? Didn't you ever lose motivation? Arav smiled. Of course I did. Everyone does. The trick is not to depend on it. You build habits so strong that even on bad days, they carry you forward. He paused, then added, you know what helped me the most? I stopped asking, do I feel like studying? And started saying, I'll study, and then I'll feel like it. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Part 8, The Message. Arav's story isn't unique. Every person who's ever achieved something worthwhile, an athlete, artist, student, entrepreneur, has faced this same silence when motivation disappears. But what separates them from the rest isn't inspiration, it's persistence. It's waking up even when your mind says 5 more minutes. It's opening the book even when you feel you've read enough. It's trusting that the small steps you take today are building something invisible and powerful. Motivation is like the weather, unpredictable. Discipline is like the sunrise. It happens every day, even behind the clouds. Part 9, Final Thoughts. If you're reading this and feeling lost, remember this. You don't need to feel motivated to make progress. You don't need to be perfect to be consistent. You just need to show up, again and again. Progress is not loud. It's quiet. It happens when no one is watching, in early mornings, lonely nights, and moments when you choose effort over comfort. One day, you'll look back and realize that the days you forced yourself to move forward, the days when motivation was zero but you still showed up, those were the days that truly shaped you, because in the end, the people who win are not the most inspired, but the most consistent.